Greetings, friends. My name is Pavlo Stelma, and now we'll unveil the top news of these days. On May 20th, another 22nd meeting of the Contact Group on Defense of Ukraine, the so-called Ramstein, took place with the participation of representatives of more than 50 countries. This format has long gone into the mode of routine work, but now it is just about weapons, safe logistics and speed of delivery that are starting to play a key role. It is important that the meeting took place during the escalation in the Kharkiv region, and it could be avoided. After all, having American HIMARS missile launchers, the armed forces of Ukraine could stop the enemy even before the attack began. But since the Russians were accumulating troops and equipment outside the Ukrainian territory, they were safe knowing about the US ban on the use of supplied weapons on the territory of the Russian Federation. Such permission is already available from Great Britain. Such issues are discussed in the French Parliament. We are waiting for Joe Biden's decision. After all, we cannot fire from the same M777 howitzers. We cannot cover the location of the enemy's reserves with M142. We cannot bomb any object on the territory of Belgorod region with the use of high-precision glide bombs. But the occupiers wipe Vovchansk from the face of Earth with their artillery operating from the territory of Russia. However, what were the results of the last meeting? The Minister of Defense of Ukraine, Rustem Umerov, wrote on Facebook about the urgent problems that our military leadership must solve.
Since the previous meeting, the enemy has dramatically increased its offensive, attempting to stretch Ukraine's defense along the 1,200-kilometer front line, specifically taking into account the enemy's offensive efforts on the border with the Kharkiv region. We are holding back this offensive. We are restoring existing combat units and creating new brigades. Our priority is heavy weapons. Tanks, armored personnel carriers and howitzers were among the topics discussed today by my colleagues, the defense ministers of the contact group's member countries. Rustem Umerov, Minister of Defense of Ukraine, on Facebook.
Rustem Umerov also reminded the partners that the massive Russian missile strikes caused a difficult situation in the Ukrainian energy industry. These strikes also pose a potential danger to neighboring countries. At their briefing after the meeting, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said that the participants discussed defense operations along the entire front line. According to him, it is not easy for the Ukrainian military. According to him, the Ramstein partners devoted a lot of time to the delivery of air defense systems and also focused on priority requests. Participants of the Ramstein format have already allocated $95 billion in military support to our country. On May the 10th, the United States announced the allocation of another package of military aid worth $400 million to Ukraine. However, what was foreseen was not reported at that time, Lloyd Austin said during Ramstein. There will be new shells for nations, for HIMARS, new units of armored vehicles and other systems. The head of the Pentagon reminded that the security package for $7 billion had already been made public earlier. At the same time, Spain is preparing a new aid package for Ukraine too, which includes the second batch of Leopard battle tanks, ammunition including 155mm caliber, a new batch of Patriot anti-aircraft missiles, anti-drone systems, optical electronic surveillance systems and more. Leopard tanks should arrive in Ukraine at the end of June. Great Britain already delivered 80 air defense missiles to Ukraine. More will arrive by the end of this month.
The world cannot wait. Ukraine needs us to step up, so they have what they need to push Putin back. That's exactly what the UK has done today. A full breakdown of what we've rushed to Ukraine to support the men and women fighting on freedom's front line. Grant Shapps, UK Secretary of State for Defense, on social media X.
At the same time, Lithuania is ready to send military instructors to Ukraine. And even earlier, Sweden decided to allocate 28 million euros to Ukraine. 18 million euros will be transferred to coalitions within Ramstein, and 10 million will be directed to the NATO fund for Ukraine. The Netherlands hands over a new batch of armored personnel carriers, analogues of the M113. The German Ministry of Defense reported that the Ramstein, the partners, agreed to support the German initiative to strengthen Ukrainian air defense. In particular, Belgium, Denmark, the Netherlands, Norway and Canada are ready to finance the strengthening of our air defense. And the United States, Great Britain, France, Spain, Romania, Belgium and Lithuania to transfer equipment and interceptor missiles. We will remind that Berlin announced a new initiative back in April. Since then, it has become known that Germany will provide our country with a third Patriot battery. The United States may provide one more, and the Netherlands and our other allies are ready to purchase such systems. The Russian fleet has become almost a myth. Russia lacks the hard power at sea to really make an impact. The so-called dark fleet of tankers smuggling Russian oil is now 1.4 thousand, and they continue to flout international maritime conventions by using dangerous and often uninsured vessels. In Africa and India, new unverified registers and insurance companies are popping up to cover this activity, while those trying to ship oil legally at a price below the agreed price face inconsistent bureaucracy from authorities in the G7 countries. Russia's inability to control its near waters shows that, with the exception of nuclear submarine operations, Moscow's growing grey zone activities around the world, while annoying and draining of resources, lack the usual naval support to become more than that. At the same time, the Russian Black Sea Fleet is now almost completely ineffective. While they still have Caliber missiles, they cannot be completely written off, but their morale should be below zero. The fact that they are not innovating and gaining experience in the face of attacks is a clear sign of this, and Russian attempts to block the exit of ships from the Black Sea continued to fail. This is good news both for Ukrainian exports and for the countries on the other side of that depend on them. The analysis of the sinking of the flagship Moskva by the Ukrainian armed forces showed an almost complete lack of basic air defense systems, not to mention the enhanced measures of a navy at war. It was sunk by a surface-to-surface missile, but uncrewed surface ships such as the Magura V5 have since proven equally effective. Russia has already withdrawn most of its Black Sea Fleet from the Crimean Peninsula to port in Novorossiysk. And there, the Russian occupiers are preparing for attacks by the Ukrainian defense forces. Russians are strengthening the base, installing floating barriers and underwater networks, which theoretically should prevent a drone attack, the Atesh military movement of Ukrainians and Crimean Tatars reported. It is worth noting that since the start of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine, Russia has already lost 28 ships or boats and 1 submarine. In particular, Ukrainian soldiers liquidated the flagship of the Russian Black Sea Fleet, the missile cruiser Moskva. Just over the weekend, our soldiers destroyed the small missile ship Cyclone and damaged the minesweeper Kovarovets. In Poland, 9 people were arrested who were suspected of sabotage on the order of the special services of the Russian Federation. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk announced this on TVN24. According to him, it is about an attempt to set fire to a paint factory in Wrocław and sabotage in Lithuania. He also claims that something similar was planned in particular in Latvia and Sweden. The accused are citizens of Ukraine, Belarus and Poland. Tusk added that Poland is cooperating with its allies on this issue. Earlier, President Duda said that several serious fires have occurred in recent days which were probably caused by arson. In his opinion, this could be an attempt to destabilize the situation in his country. Simultaneously, the National Crisis Management Center of Lithuania called on enterprises and organizations supporting Ukraine to increase the level of vigilance and strengthen fire safety, warning of possible provocations from Russia. The head of the center, Vilmantas Vitkauskas, told journalists that the provocations related to the arson are intended to cause public panic, reduce support for Ukraine, and Russian special services may be interested in this. And Estonian Prime Minister Kaja Kallas believes that Putin seeks to use the threat of mass migration to divide and weaken Europe and its support for our country. The Estonian Prime Minister noted that Russia has already created migratory pressure due to its intervention in the civil war in Syria and in Africa due to the activities of the Wagner mercenary group. As The Guardian notes, the former president of Estonia, Toomas Ilves, predicted that in the event of Ukraine's defeat in the war against Russia, up to 30 million Ukrainians would try to cross to Europe. And no, I am not intimidating. This is a description of the future if Russia manages to succeed on Ukrainian soil. Because in such a case, there is only one scenario for Ukrainians: to live under the Russian yoke until the Kremlin wants to launch a new attack on European country, and then Ukrainians will be drafted into Russian army. And we saw their effective meet assaults. That concludes our today's video. Thank you for watching. Stay updated, comment, like and subscribe to our UATV English channel for more news directly from Ukraine. It is your support that matters. Goodbye.